Now joining us around the table, RBC Canadian Open Tournament Director Bryan Crawford. Bryan, what's going on, man?
Hi, guys. Oh, nothing much. Just
Are you busy at all? We got time here? Okay, we're good.
all
we're good.
the time in the world.
Aren't you a lot busier before this week than leading into this week?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the setup in the last couple of weeks leading up to the tournament are some of the busiest. The advanced week as everybody's getting, the final pieces in place. But, this week's got a lot to go on, too.
And you mentioned pieces in place. This is the biggest build-out we've seen ever at the RBC Canadian Open, correct?
Yeah, it grew probably about 20% over last year, which had grown over the previous year. So it's the largest that we've ever had, and certainly going to have the largest fan turnout that we've ever had. And it's been great to be able to continue to maintain the momentum in growing this event and bringing it to more Canadians and exposing more and more people to the game of golf.
It felt like that too. Yesterday, walking around out there, you could feel the size of the build out. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, it's 20% or whatnot, but when you look down fairways and when you get some vistas from above and whatnot, there's like this. I'm going to say it. To me, when I looked out, it looked like like an old U.S. Open used to look. You know, when they used to build them out, as opposed to LA Country Club. That's a whole other guy. When they use
the stands are very close to the holes here, though.
Yes, you actually have atmosphere. This is interesting. You have atmosphere here and everything. Unbelievable. The course is in amazing shape, too. I know a lot of the players, this is the first time they've seen it since the renovation. What have players been saying? Because yesterday they were raving.
Yeah. The majority, I think, would probably have not had a chance to be out here. Maybe a couple of our Canadians that have had a chance. But, first time that they'll have seen it since it was renovated in 2021. And as you know, the whole property was done, every aspect of it, every green, all the bunkers, they've given some length, new tees, changed some of the, some of the landing zones. So it's amazing that a great golf course in Canada got even better, and it certainly got better. And what's great about it is that you got to think your way around the golf course a little bit more. You can't just overpower it. It's certainly got enough length, but you can't come out and just overpower it all the way around the golf course from 1 to 18. And you got to use every club in your bag more here, and you got to think about your shot selection. And I think that's what, I think guys enjoy that. It's a break for a little bit from some of the traditional courses, or I shouldn't say traditional, but what they're playing on a more regular basis on tour. And, they get that in the U.S. Opens. They get that when they come to the Northern tournaments at this time of the calendar. So, this is one of the finest properties anywhere, let alone here in Canada. And we're really proud to get to come here as often as we have been.
Let me just check it on the list here and see where it is.
Bryan, so we're here on the rink hole, and the rink hole has become a staple of the RBC Canadian Open. When fans come out, what will they be expecting when they come and sit and watch golf on the rink hole?
Yeah, well, it's gotten bigger and bigger every single year. It's credit to the people who thought putting hockey boards and a Zamboni on a golf hole, back in 2017 was a good idea, and to everybody on the team that was willing, bold enough to stick with it and actually make it bigger going into 19, and it's just taken on a life of its own. There's there'll be thousands and thousands of people on this hole throughout the week. We're right on the tee here, and it's gotten bigger with the grandstands and the deck that's around the tee, and all the excitement of banging on the boards and all that. We've got hospitality up above it, behind it, and double decker down towards the green, and lots of stuff around the green. More fan areas all around the greens as well. So, and here at Hamilton, you've got all these junction points, right? So we've got 10 and 11 out our back door here, 17 just kind of over the top of that there, and then obviously the tee for 14 going off behind 13 green there. So you got so much going on in one space. This will certainly be the kind of heartbeat of the tournament, maybe more so even than 18 in some ways. That it's just people love it, and they've embraced it. The golfers have embraced it, and it's what makes the PGA Tour fun week in and week out. And this is one of the big things that contributes to that.
I heard for the Pro-Am on Wednesday there's going to be an organ here. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the old school organist out here. You got it.
Who was at Maple Leaf Gardens back in the day? Was it Paul something on the organ was always playing.
Pretty sure I'm too young to know.
Oh yeah, please. You were in a diaper.
What are the what's going on behind the scenes that we don't see? Primarily, like, you're obviously a very busy guy. You're talking about different things, but before we get to Thursday's first round, what are the biggest things going on around this behind the scenes?
Yeah, with the weather that we had yesterday, there's a little bit of cleanup that has to happen from that. A lot of wind yesterday, which was tremendously helpful for drying out the golf course, from that perspective. But, lots of things around the golf course, bunting and signage and, some of the areas that got saturated and that, now need some mulch and those sorts of things to create good pathways for all the fans that'll be here. So a lot of that little bit of finishing touches that needed to happen anyways, and then some cleanup that needs to happen. So that's kind of some of the last things. We've got lots of events now that go on kind of every day. Our Hall of Fame induction event is on today, and our draw party tonight, and kind of events every single day. We have school field trip day tomorrow, so I have a couple thousand kids out at the golf course tomorrow, which is it's an amazing day. They bring so much energy, and hopefully we'll inspire a couple of them to pick up some clubs down the road.
I've been asked so many times this week. In fact, I was asked it this morning by AK and Carlo about how do we outdo next year, or how do we keep making this the championship it is. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, could you imagine I'm sorry, but can you imagine having this conversation 10, 12 years ago? We wouldn't. I mean, you start, I don't want to say a victim of your own success, because that's not the way of putting it, but I mean, the bar has been raised to the point where you guys have achieved so much in the last handful of years. It's amazing to me. And it's kind of like everybody's asking questions. So what do we do now? What do we do now? How far out are we working on venues? What we're going to do? 27, 28, 30. Where are we in this process?
Yeah, we're continuously working on the future venue strategy and what the event looks like in years ahead. Like, it's not we don't just start working on it a few weeks ago. It's been
hey, what about Hamilton?
It's been a full year, of full-time work. We have full-time staff and team that works on it, and suppliers and the volunteer chairs and the club. So the city. So it's it takes 12 months plus to do it. TPC Toronto we've been working on for several years, and I went to see it very early on when I started, and it's been a continuous process with them up until obviously the announcement, and we'll continue on now for the next year to get prepared to go somewhere brand new, which, like Oakdale, was a new challenge to figure out how best to set that up here. We were here recently. We kind of figured out how things work best. We grew and scaled and changed some things, but kind of the format is much the same as it was in 19, but that's all new, and we got to figure out how to do that at TPC Toronto. And are the ideas that we have good ones? Right. We think they're good, but you don't know until you actually put them into practice. So those are some of those things. I remember Bob in 2018 after DJ knocked it in on 18, kind of said to me, "Oh, good luck topping that next year." Oops. And I was bold enough, and maybe I didn't know. No, I was a little too confident. Said, "No, piece of cake, right?" And we did. Rory came out here and put on a show, and little did we know we had to sit on the sidelines for a couple of years after that, and. Little did we know, they were going to put on a show again at St. George's, and then Nick did what he did. And, I think, we have no control over what happens inside the ropes, of course, but I think if we do a really great job controlling everything that we have control of, and that we do all the things to make this a really great sport and entertainment property, and something that people want to be part of, it can raise all of that up and feed into it, and and ultimately, produce something that people want to be part of year in and year out. And we just try to keep doing a little bit more each year that allows that to keep going.
For those who want to come out and take part, what's the ticket situation right now?
Yeah, we're trending towards the biggest audience we've ever had on site before, and have been kind of trending that way since almost day one. The tickets went on sale for this year, so our all of our hospitality was sold out months ago, which is great, and many of the kind of mass GA products are getting close to. So we'll, we might get to sellouts on more than one day, and they're all available on the RBC Canadian Open website. Best place to go get tickets is get them directly from the source via Ticketmaster, and come enjoy. And we always get the questions about, the golf and the concerts. It's all one. That's we think we have the best entertainment product in terms of value that there is around. You can come here at 7 in the morning, and you can leave at 11 at night and spend the entire day here.
That's what we're doing.
That's right. It's easier than the traffic.
Yeah. Me too, and add another 5 hours to that day. But it's you can there's something for everybody. It's all day long, and it's outside, and it's summer, and it's all the things that we intentionally tried to lean into. What do we all love about the summertime is Canadians, right? And being outside, having some drinks and food with friends, and watching a sporting event, listening to music, all these sorts of things. So we tried to build that, and I think it's come through pretty well the last couple times.
So the biggest build out ever at the RBC Canadian Open, massive crowds are expected, and events like this don't happen without volunteers.
Yeah.
How many volunteers are in place this year?
2,300 volunteers on site here. So there's we've got about 23 committees that make up the volunteer organizing committee, and about 50 volunteer chairs and vice chairs. And 2,300 record number for us. We closed registration a couple weeks ago because it was completely full. The great thing about coming here to Hamilton, and and I'm a local Hamiltonian, live really close here to the golf course, and the community just completely embraces this tournament here in Ancaster and the Hamilton area. Southwestern Ontario, Niagara region, it's close to them, and they may be more inspired to come support the event here than when it's a little bit further away in Toronto. And we see the results of that, every single time the tournaments come here. And we're really lucky, and that is reflected in the volunteers. Most of our volunteers are returning volunteers everywhere we go, but this year is unique that, they're returning volunteers from maybe 2019 that are now supplementing our volunteers that kind of come year in and year out. We're celebrating 30, 35, 40-year volunteers this year.
Jim Clark, who was looking after lengthy volunteer, who was looking after the Monday qualifier, he said that his first year as a volunteer was 1984.
Wow.
And he's wearing his badge on his lanyard, so 40 years.
And like Bryan said to us before we went on the air, he said, we're getting the bad weather out of the way early.
Yep.
So if you're thinking of coming out now, starting tomorrow, we're crystal clear the rest of the way. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, perfect, good sunny skies and not too hot. Like, you don't want it to be too hot. It's just comfortable. And yeah, couldn't have asked for better forecast the rest of the way to just have an unbelievable week. So we're excited.
Now, as we wrap here, Bryan, what's your favorite part of this week for you personally?
Well, that's a great question.
Sunday night? Sorry.
when Bob hands out the trophy, he knows he can go home.
Yeah.
It's a culmination of a year's worth of work and energy by so many people, and it's really rewarding. Like, working towards that every year, and you get this huge thing that you get to finish with, and so that's really rewarding. I've always really I always try to take a bit of time to watch the first golf shots of the week in the last 3 holes of the tournament for me.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. And try to enjoy that final, the leaders coming home, and that's always a pretty enjoyable time. And I've been fortunate that my family's been able to be out every year, and certainly they're here on Sunday and to come down. And I've got young kids, and they were able to be part of that last year and come to the media center and do a bit of that. So, it's great to share it because they have to support a lot, and there's a lot of time and energy that goes into it from their dad, and so having them around at the end and being able to celebrate what has been a great week that's the best part.
That's very well said, my friend. Well, hey, congratulations on all the success so far, and
Thanks,
good luck
guys.
the rest of the week.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's
Awesome.
RBC Canadian Open Tournament Director Bryan Crawford.